we're away. Great start from Braden Elliott and Callum Spriggs from the front row of the grid. Rick Olsen has got away, well, averagely, I suppose you could say.
Spriggs
He'll be about
going to take the lead into DID change turn 1.
Elliott up there into second place. Troy Gunther looks like he's in third. Mitch Levy has got a cracking start from the second row of the grid, and he's up into fourth place, Trev.
Actually, it's Gunther in third at the moment, then Elliott in fourth.
Rick Olsen in
fifth.
No, Rick Olsen in fifth, and then Precipio sixth. There goes Rick Olsen up the inside now of was that Mitch Levy?
Oh, somebody running off into the gravel there.
And going over the Whipple strip with a bit of rear wheel in the air action. There's Brett Swallow having a look over his shoulder.
Nervous. Callum
So
Spriggs breaking away a little bit already.
Callum Spriggs making a break for the the early stages of this race from Braden Elliott. And then we've got Troy Gunther. Oh, no, it's Tommy Bryden that ran on wide there at turn 3 on board bike number 10. Shake of the head. Obviously not that happy with his performance early on in this race.
We come down Iphone Oils straight for the first time. Ricky Olsen up to third position now. Takes position past Troy Gunther into Honda turn 6. So on your screen there is Rick Olsen in that number 20 RST. Callum Spriggs leads across the stripe to start lap 2 from Braden Elliott. Rick Olsen, of course, as we said, made that move, and he's up in the third position now ahead of Troy Gunther.
Having a look at that, Rick Olsen, that's his best start to one of the races so far, to be up into third position by the completion of the end of the first lap, Trev, because so far this weekend he's been getting shocking starts, and he's been about fourth or fifth in every time he's come around to complete the first couple of laps.
I think he's going to be second very shortly. He shoots maybe first even.
Elliott's
going to hit Spriggs. Run Spriggsy right off into the dirt nearly. So
Spriggsy shaking the head.
He's going to get hammered back down to about fifth there, I think, maybe even sixth.
Shows you how close it is in the Supersport class. Runs a fraction wide at turn 3, and he's back to fifth position. That puts Mitch Levy up into fourth place. But our new race leader, Rick Olsen, Braden Elliott in second, Troy Gunther in third.
So will anybody have an answer for Rick Olsen now? He's at the lead at this early stage of the race.
Well, I reckon Callum Spriggs may have some questions he'd like to pose.
I'd like to have some questions to pose to Braden Elliott, I think, perhaps.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty big move there, but they were all dicing for position as they made their way down into Dunlop turn 3.
Let me throwing some sparks there. Must have some smart, sparky toe sliders or knee sliders of some description, I would imagine. So a 12.5 to Rick Olsen on the first flying lap, which is a full 9/10 faster than Braden Elliott's first flying lap. But the gap between the two is 7/10 of a second.
And I think that's maybe because they took about another few metres longer in the circuit than what Rick Olsen did. As the field streams its way through the very fast and the long turn 2 and out onto the Dunlop back straight. There's Jordan Carlson on board bike number 45. He's having a pretty good battle back there in the pack as well.
Spriggsy looking for a way past Mitch Levy to take the fourth position. Then his next target will be Troy Gunther. Spriggsy has the speed to get up there, and of course that getting shoved wide by Elliott there into Dunlop turn 2 there before cost him a number of positions, so he's really got a battle in front of him now.
Well, and Callum Spriggs also got the problem of he's got the very rapid J. Precipio from South Australia right on his ducktail, and he's also trying to find a way past the similar machine of Mitch Levy. So he's got a Yamaha R6 behind him that wants to try and get past. He's also got a Yamaha R6 that he's got to try and get past in front. And at the moment, the laps are winding down. They're coming around to complete 3 laps. He's only got another 5 laps to go until the finish of this race. So probably really needs to get a wriggle on as they come round to complete that lap. And riders from second all the way back to 9th place, Trev, doing their fastest lap of the race. Rick Olsen unable to match his 12.5 that he did in the second lap of the race with a 12.7.
But still a tenth of a second faster than Braden Elliott. So the Suzuki man didn't manage to claw any ground back on Rick Olsen that time around. So Rick Olsen looks as though he might be on course for a victory here as we are about to enter the second half of this race next time we cross the stripe.
Troy Gunther also putting in a good ride on board bike number 65, the 16-year-old Queenslander.
And Spriggs has got past Levy for that fourth position. He's going to try and march his way forward and start challenging Troy Gunther and then Braden Elliott for a spot on the podium.
Yeah, he also wants to get up there on the podium and secure that round win, does Callum Spriggs. He's got 2 victories from 2 starts so far. Rick Olsen, of course, didn't have the best race this morning. Supersport race number 1. Finished in 3rd place, came back for second in the third one, but really that first race he would have finished a lot higher up the podium if he had have actually got a decent start.
Might have been Mitch Levy nearly bounced out of the seat there, but Rick Olsen still leads the way, but Braden Elliott has managed to claw back perhaps a tenth, nearly 2 tenths on that previous lap as we now enter the second half of this 8-lap race.
Paul Young right onto the back of Luke Mitchell as well.
Youngie Ricky Olsen very loose through Race Tech Suspension's turn 2 there, screwing the power down hard on that Kawasaki Connection ZX6R.
You can see Paul Young there on board bike number 96 having a great battle with Luke Mitchell on board bike number 6.
And Spriggsy reeled right up on the back of Troy Gunther now, and it'll be interesting to see if he gets up onto the back of Braden Elliott, whether he tries to repay that favour earlier on.
I'm sure there'll be no beg your pardons.
No, I'm sure there won't be.
But he's got to try and find his way past the very rapid fellow Queenslander at the moment. So it's the 2 Queenslanders in 3rd and 4th position. Troy Gunther on 65 and Callum Spriggs on board bike number 3. You've got the 2 New South Welshmen in front with Rick Olsen from the Hunter Valley and Braden Elliott from Tumut. Then it's the man from northwestern Sydney, Mitch Levy, the next rider through. Then Jay Precipio, the South Australian, on board bike number 5, the Race Centre machine. Of course, the Race Centre people, Trev, responsible for that excellent performance from young Jed Metcher at the first round of the World Superbike Championship at Phillip Island earlier on this year.
And then, of course, Jed had a few visa problems, which has delayed his start to the British Superbike Championship. As we look at the screen there, Callum Spriggs looking to get in a position where he can make a challenge on 3rd place with Troy Gunther.
Mitch Levy's bike looking a little bit untidy as he screwed the gas on through turn 2 on that occasion, and Jay Precipio's been the big beneficiary of that because he's got great drive, but Mitch Levy was later than late on the brakes, trying to get the bike stopped and turned, wasn't successful, and Jay Precipio's moved up 1 position.
Yeah, it wasn't fork patter for him there that time. It was a bit.
It was everything
it was a shock patter, yeah. So the back of the machine jackhammering there away, struggling to stay in touch with the tarmac. So Jay Precipio's taking advantage of that, of course.
And Luke Mitchell's closed right up onto the back, and he's brought some guy called Paul Young for company. But race leader still Rick Olsen from Braden Elliott.
So the distance between the two now just over half a second. Spriggsy takes a very different entry to onto turn 6 there to perhaps try and get a better run onto the chute to challenge Troy Gunther for that 3rd position. On
the last lap though, Trev, 12.9 was for Rick Olsen, and Braden Elliott was a 13, but now, sorry, a 13 flat, but on that completion of that last lap, there was 0.2 of a second between Braden Elliott and Rick Olsen, with Elliott just pulling back a little bit of distance on our race leader.
Yeah, it's going to set up an exciting end to this race, perhaps. So, yeah.
Well, down the Dunlop straight to complete, on the 7th of 8 laps. So they'll come around at the end of this lap to get the last lap board, and Braden Elliott has definitely pulled back a little bit of distance on our race leader, Rick Olsen, on board the Kawasaki Connection machine, bike number 20.
So there's a good tight battle there, isn't there, unfolding for that 5th position between Precipio, Levy, Mitchell and Young. Buckley not quite in touch with them, but he'd be happy to score some top 10 positions here as he adapts to the Supersport category after stepping up from the FX 300 Ninja Cup last year, where of course he battled so hard and successfully with Brandon Demery.
Yeah, and of course it's been a couple of years since Kyle Buckley's actually ridden a Supersport bike. He said it's taken him a while to get his head back around.
Very lurid.
And they all looked a little bit out of shape there. The most in shape one of the lot of them was Paul Young on board 96 there as he makes his way out onto the start-finish straight. This is a very tight battle now for that 5th position. Jay Precipio currently holding it down on board bike number 5.
Ricky Olsen's still our race leader, but by just under half a second now, and this is the last lap. So Braden Elliott wants to win this one. He's going to have to throw caution to the wind.
Braden Elliott and Troy Gunther actually setting their fastest lap of the race on the last lap.
And Callum Spriggs is right there. He's going to have to try and challenge Troy Gunther at some point. Braden Elliott quite strong down into Dunlop turn 2 that time around. Spriggsy has a great line through there. He should get good drive along the Kawasaki straight and maybe be able to position himself for a podium challenge there.
Yeah, on that last lap, Callum Spriggs was only 25 hundredths of a second faster than what Troy Gunther was, so he's just eking his way back a little bit.
Braden Elliott might be able to try and, if he can get a good drive out of here, which he has been most of the weekend, he might be able to challenge Ricky Olsen down into Honda turn 6.
Well, this is the final corner. I think Rick Olsen may have enough in reserve, and I think that Troy Gunther is going to hold off Callum Spriggs to get that last place on the podium. As the checkered flag comes out, it is going to be Rick Olsen, race victor. Braden Elliott in 2nd, Troy Gunther in 3rd, Callum Spriggs in 4th. sorry, in fourth.
And Mitch Levy wins that. Jay Presepio must have got him on the line. There's 5 thousandths of a second. I thought Levy had that. He looked to have good drive out of turn 6 up the chute there, but Presepio must have done something pretty special to just sneak by him on the line. But that's 5 thousandths of a second, so that's going to come down to a video review anyway, I would imagine.
And he's going to be very, very close for the overall as well, with Callum Spriggs taking 2 victories and a 4th. Rick Olsen a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 1st. It's going to be extremely close for the overall.
I don't think we'll have to wait too long for the confirmation of that. We're waiting for our final riders to cross the finish line before we calculate the points.
There's Jay Presepio had another good ride this weekend. Victor. He's been up there in the top 5 or 6 in pretty much all the races so far this weekend. But confirmation of your results. Rick Olsen, the race winner from Braden Elliott by 0.372 of a second. Troy Gunther in 3rd on board the PI Technical Moto Shaw machine. The local man, bike number 65. A great result for him so far this weekend after a bit of disappointment this morning. And Callum Spriggs, who had won every race coming into this final bout, unfortunately for him, has to take 4th place results and will still be well and truly in contention for the overall round win on board the YRD all-site concrete cutting machine. Jay Presepio also had a good ride. Mitch Levy, Luke Mitchell and Paul Young. Then Kyle Buckley, Cambridge Oliver, Brad Swallow finished in 11th place, just ahead of Jordan Carlton, Michael Knight, Brandon Demley.
Callum Spriggs is our round winner from Rick Olsen by 1 point.
Ooh.
And Troy Gunther takes 3rd overall for the round. So
and also Rick Olsen would have got the point for pole position as well. So that makes it extremely close. As we said, 1 point in it, and it just shows you the importance of getting that good victory early on in the weekend for Callum Spriggs with 2 race wins.
There is a number of different subcategories here, so I would treat that as provisional, what we just mentioned there in regards to the round win, because as we say, there are a number of subcategories.
That would be the A grade. That would be the A grade one. So Troy Gunther would have won B grade, I'd say, and leads the B grade championship on 287 points. So good result for him.
3rd place, congratulations to you, Troy. A fantastic effort, a good way to reward the team at the end of the day.
Yeah, certainly. It was another tough race again, really close, but good weekend of racing, and like you said, a really good way to reward a hard-working team from what we've done this weekend.
Looking forward to Wakefield Park next round?
Yeah, for sure. I've never ridden there, but I really like learning new circuits, so I really can't wait.
Good luck. Nothing like a good challenge.
Yeah, thank you.
Keen as mustard is that young bloke,
well,
and
this is the first track
he's
actually come to this year, Trev, where he's actually ridden before this weekend. So I think he's certainly been the find of the year in the Supersport class, has the young 16-year-old. Let's hear from Braden Elliott, who increased his championship lead out to 10 points over Callum Spriggs.
Braden, a fantastic effort here, a long weekend, a good weekend, a rewarding weekend for you in the Hancock Suzuki.
Yeah, definitely. All day today, I knew I had it in me to be up here on the podium. You know, all the guys are riding great, and there's just so many of us that are setting similar lap times, and I knew I just needed a little bit of luck to go my way, and I could be up here on the podium. So I'm happy to finish off the weekend in 2nd position, and some more good points towards the championship.
Good on you, mate. Well done. Look forward to seeing you down at Wakefield Park.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Right, some words from the Tumut boy, Braden Elliott, who's under the tutelage of Sean Giles. And so yeah, fantastic result for him. Callum Spriggs just finishing off the podium in that one, but as we said, we think he does take the round victory by a very, very slim margin. We'll have a talk to our race victor, Rick Olsen.
Well done, Rick. Congratulations. A great way to reward Kawasaki Connection and the entire team for a big effort over the weekend. Well done.
Yeah, no, it is. To get the wins, unreal. Like I said, that's what we need, race wins. And this weekend I was struggling a bit, and to pull one off I'm happy with, because, I thought it was going to be hard just to get on the podium today. So, no, I can't thank Kawasaki Connection enough. Glenn Willing doing the suspension. The thing's just beautiful to ride. And yeah, RIAA for jumping on board and sponsoring, and the boys for the great race. It was unreal. Then I didn't expect it to be Braden, to be honest, but congratulations to him, and yeah.
Well, Braden has extended his lead in the championship. You were a slow starter in the championship. Do you think you can continue to chip away at it over the rest of the season?
We could probably continue to chip away at it, but how much I can get back is, another question, because he's riding unreal, and yeah, so like I said, I've just got to go out there and try and win races, and hope that at the end of the year the points is, you know, close to first or in first.
Well, we look forward to some better starts from you down at Wakefield Park.
Yeah, I'll try. Thanks.
Good on you, Rick Olsen.